The mirror in the attic. When Leah inherited her grandmother's old Victorian house, she wasn't sure what to expect. The house had been in the family for generations, and it was filled with dusty antiques, creaky floorboards, and stories of long-forgotten family secrets. Growing up, she had always felt a strange connection to the place, but now, living there alone, that connection felt more like an oppressive weight. The house itself was grand, with high ceilings, large windows, and an attic that seemed to stretch on forever. As a child, Leah had been forbidden from going up there. Her grandmother had always said it was too dangerous, too easy to get lost among the clutter. But now, with the house fully hers, Leah decided it was time to explore the attic for herself. It was on a rainy afternoon, the wind howling outside, that she finally climbed the narrow staircase leading up to the attic. The door creaked as she pushed it open, revealing a vast space filled with old furniture, trunks, and forgotten trinkets. Dust swirled in the dim light as she stepped inside, her footsteps echoing on the wooden floorboards. As she wandered through the attic, Leah felt a strange sensation, as if she wasn't alone. She tried to shake off the feeling. It was just the house, she told herself. But as she passed by an old, full-length mirror leaning against the far wall, she froze. Something about the mirror caught her attention. It was tall, ornate, and much cleaner than anything else in the attic. The surface gleamed, almost as if it had been recently polished. Curious, Leah stepped closer. Her reflection stared back at her, but there was something off about it. The room behind her in the reflection seemed darker, the shadows deeper. And then she saw it. A figure stood behind her, just out of view, in the reflection. Leah gasped and spun around, but the attic was empty. She looked back at the mirror. Nothing but her own reflection, standing alone. Her heart raced as she stepped away from the mirror, her mind racing with explanations. Maybe it was a trick of the light, or her imagination playing tricks on her in the dim attic. But as she turned to leave, she heard it. A soft whisper, barely audible, coming from the direction of the mirror. Leah. She froze, her blood running cold. There was no one else in the attic, no one else in the house. But she had heard her name, clear as day. Slowly, she turned back to the mirror. Her reflection was still there, but now it was different. The expression on her face wasn't her own. In the reflection, she was smiling, a wide, unsettling grin that sent shivers down her spine. And then, the reflection spoke. "Come closer, Leah." Panic surged through her. She stumbled backward, nearly tripping over an old trunk. But her reflection remained still, watching her with that eerie smile. She fled the attic, slamming the door behind her, her heart pounding in her chest. The house felt different now, darker, more oppressive. The air was thick with a sense of dread, and Leah couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her. For days, she avoided the attic. She tried to go about her life as normal, but the memory of the mirror haunted her. She started hearing things at night, soft footsteps above her, faint whispers coming from the attic. No matter how much she tried to ignore it, the house seemed to pulse with a life of its own. One evening, as the sun set and the shadows lengthened, Leah heard it again. Leah. The voice was coming from the attic. This time it was louder, more insistent. Against her better judgment, Leah grabbed a flashlight and slowly made her way back up the stairs. The attic door creaked as she pushed it open. The mirror was waiting for her, standing in the same place, but this time, her reflection wasn't there. The mirror was empty, showing only the dimly lit room behind her. "Come closer, Leah." The voice echoed in her mind, and despite every instinct screaming at her to run, she stepped forward. As she approached the mirror, something shifted in the air around her. The temperature dropped, and the light from her flashlight flickered. Suddenly, her reflection appeared again. But it wasn't her. It was someone else. Someone wearing her face, but with cold, dead eyes and that same unsettling grin. The figure reached out from the mirror, its hand pressing against the glass, as if trying to break through. "Let me out," it whispered, its voice a low, rasping sound. Leah stumbled back, terror gripping her. She turned to flee, but before she could reach the door, she felt something cold wrap around her wrist. She looked down in horror to see a shadowy hand reaching out from the mirror, pulling her back. "Let me out, Leah!" The voice was louder now, more demanding. She struggled, pulling away with all her strength, but the grip was too strong. It was dragging her closer, toward the mirror's gleaming surface. Desperate, Leah grabbed an old iron candlestick from a nearby table and swung it at the mirror with all her might. The glass shattered with a deafening crash, sending shards flying across the attic. The hand released her, and Leah collapsed to the floor, gasping for breath. The mirror lay in pieces around her, but the cold, oppressive presence was gone. The whispers had stopped. Shaking, Leah crawled to the door and fled the attic, leaving the shattered mirror behind. She knew she could never go back up there. Whatever had been in that mirror was gone, or at least she hoped it was. But as she locked the attic door and descended the stairs, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was still watching her, waiting for the right moment to return.